My only wish for Stranger Things right now is clarity on one question. Who's really in charge, Vecna or the Mind Flayer? Today, I want to share my personal understanding of their dynamic. Think of this as a predictive fan theory. Maybe I'm wrong, but Season 5 will show us how close we really are. Let's start with Henry Creel's first encounter. In my theory, Henry was partially flayed as a child when he first touched the Mind Flayer's world, what some call Dimension X. But the connection was violently interrupted when he was ripped away. That left Henry with powers, yes, but also a fractured psyche. The Mind Flayer's will was burned into him, that obsession with predators, with consuming the weak, with seeing himself as above others. Even Henry's fascination with spiders, I think that was just his child brain trying to comprehend what he'd seen. The Mind Flayer itself isn't just one thing. It's billions of tiny particles, individually simple, almost like viruses. But when they connect, they form an emergent intelligence. The bigger the cloud, the smarter it gets. That's why the Flayer is telekinetic. That's why it can infect organisms and literally rewrite their biology. Henry's powers, and even Eleven's, come from the same interdimensional energy, but humans channel it differently. Humans can push those powers into emotions, into psychic duels. The Mind Flayer, it can flay living things and alter them fundamentally. That's what makes it scarier than Vecna in the long run. When Eleven nearly killed Henry at Hawkins' lab, there, the Flayer saw Henry as useful, not as prey, but as a partner. So instead of consuming him, it seduced him with power. It even shaped itself into a spider, the symbol Henry obsessed over. To Henry, it became God. To the Flayer, Henry became a weapon. That's when the slow transformation into Vecna. In Season 1, Eleven accidentally opened the permanent gate at Hawkins' lab. That gate fused a part of Dimension X with Earth, creating what we now call the Upside Down. By Season 2, though, both Vecna and the Flayer were in the Upside Down, plotting infiltration. Vecna was tasked with locating Will Byers. Every one of Will's visions, that was Vecna, practicing his psychic reach. Eventually, the Flayer used that connection to infect Will, opening microscopic gates inside his body so the particles could get in. Will became their first real spy. By Season 3, Vecna had his big idea, using trauma to open psychic gates. But the Flayer, twice burned by Eleven, wanted her gone. That's why it prioritized her elimination, using rats and Billy as its main weapons. Billy's trauma made him special. Vecna personally linked to him instead of just harvesting him. Through Billy, Vecna even got to give his villain monologue. But notice what happens. The moment Billy breaks free of that influence, the Mind Flayer freaks out and kills him instantly. That shows me the Flayer was still the one pulling the strings. Season 4 is where things shift. The Mind Flayer changes tactics. No more subtle infiltration. It's now about invasion. Vecna stays behind to open a massive gate using the trauma murder method he perfected. He succeeds in his job. The invasion gate is open. The Flayer's army is ready. The US military quarantines Hawkins, probably throwing civilians into camps while trying to burn back the Flayer's army. Max, still comatose, might be trapped in Vecna's psychic mind space, along with Chrissy and the others. Her arc could be huge. Will Byers, the only human ever flayed and still alive, might awaken powers like Henry's. He and Max could become the key players against Vecna. And by the end, the Mind Flayer will stand revealed as the ultimate villain, the top dog, the one who's been pulling strings since the very beginning. Or maybe the finale goes even darker. Vecna and the Mind Flayer could merge into one ultimate monster. Will's painting of the three-headed dragon suddenly makes sense. That's my understanding of Vecna and the Mind Flayer. Not gospel, just theory. The Duffers keep contradicting themselves, sometimes saying Henry is the main antagonist, sometimes hinting the Flayer has always been in charge. The first shadow all but confirms it. The Mind Flayer is the true big bad. Vecna's just the lieutenant who thinks he's a general. But what do you think? Is Vecna really in control, or has the Mind Flayer been the master all along?